Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree if you are new here, and in today's video I wanted to show you the two ways that I do my base. So I did a base routine tutorial probably like pretty close to a year ago at this point, so I figured it's probably time to update it and show you guys how I do my base. So I'm going to do it two different ways. I'm going to do a more glowy base and then a more matte, long-lasting base as well. I also wanted to say a huge thank you. My channel is a year old now. It just turned a year old, I believe, yesterday. So thank you guys so much for all of the support. I've been having so much fun. My lash is wonky and trying to glue my lids together. So thank you guys so much for all of the support. I've been having so much fun. I cannot wait to continue to create and keep doing this. I love it so much. So if you guys are interested in seeing how I do my base, then just keep on watching. So first things first, I like to take the NYX Bear With Me spray, the one with the clear whitish cap, and I just spray that all over my face. Just like as a little extra layer of hydration. And then I'm gonna go in with the NYX Primer Oil, and I just take a single drop of this onto my finger, two fingers together, and I just put that underneath my eyes. I find that this step in particular, I do this every single day, helps with my eyes looking crepey or anything like that. Next up, I'm gonna go in with Auric Glow Lust. This is in the shade Selenite. And I'm gonna take one pump on the back of my hand, or on my finger, you know, wherever it happens to land. And I'm going to dot that all over my face and use this as my primer. So it is very, very glowy, but it's the right amount of glow that looks crazy at first, but it'll end up coming through the like foundation and the powder and everything like that. Next up, I'm gonna go in with the Milani Supercharged Brightening Under Eye Tint. This is in the shade Pink. This is very, very close in shade to the light shade of the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector. It's just like a very different formula. But I'm gonna squeeze some out on the back of my hand. It's very thin, so I almost always end up squeezing out too much, but I'm going to show you guys what I end up doing with the excess. So I'll take that and I'll kind of dot it underneath my eyes like this. And then the first time I ended up with too much on my fingers, I actually ended up taking and putting it on my darker acne spots because it's intended to brighten up darkness. So why wouldn't that work? And it's been awesome. It's been making a huge difference. But I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to buff that all out. I'm actually really quick just going to kind of work that in a little bit with my fingers. Just to make it easier to blend with the brush. And I find with this product in particular, a brush works better just because it's so thin that a sponge tends to just like absorb it all. And then I'm gonna take a concealer that I bought for my under eyes, but I hated it on my under eyes, the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer, and I'm just going to use that on my acne and also right in this area right here because I get very red right there. But don't put it right there. Honestly, I'm really just trying to find a way to use up that concealer, so that's how I do it. And then I just take another brush and I just buff that out as well. These couple steps are obviously ones that you can skip if you don't have acne, if you don't have really dark under eyes, anything like that. I do though, so you know. Next up, I'm gonna mix together 2 pumps of the Pure 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie and then 1 pump of selenite. And it's just going to look like that on my little candle thing, and I'm just going to apply that with a sponge. for concealer, I'm going to use the Tarte Shape Tape Ultra Creamy. I'm in the shade 16N, and I'm not going to use like a ton because I already have some coverage underneath my eyes. I'm just going to do a dot, 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 dot. And last but not least, before I set my face, I'm going to go in with the NYX Bear With Me spray with the black cap. This is the one with the cannabis sativa seed oil, and I'm just going to spray that all over my face again. And then just like let it dry. Okay, so for powder, I'm going to go in with the Morphe Bacon Set Translucent Setting Powder for underneath my eyes. And then for the rest of my face, I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. This powder has just like a little bit of a glow to it, as the name would suggest. And it just makes the foundation and everything just look really, really pretty. I am going to top it off with a little bit of the No. 7 Lift and Luminate Pressed Powder. I always do that. It's a habit of mine. So really quick, I'm just going to take my sponge that I was using for my powder, and I'm just going to run this really quick over my face again. Just make sure that there's no creasing that happened while I was waiting for the spray to set. And now I'm going to go into a new sponge for my powders. I don't like mixing them together. So I'm just going to take a little bit on my sponge and just press that underneath my eyes. This is also, the Morphe powder is the same powder that I use when I'm doing, like, after I've put on bronzer and everything, I'll clean up my nose with this same powder. It also has just the littlest bit of a sheen to it. It's not noticeable underneath the eyes. I only notice it on my nose. It's the weirdest thing, but it is a really, really pretty powder for that. And then I'm going to take the flat side of the sponge, just dip it into the powder and just press that all over my skin. And then I just take a big fluffy brush and I'm just going to swirl that all over my face. Just make sure that there's nowhere that powder is like collecting. So obviously this is now pretty much completely mattified out my skin. Some steps that we'll do later will make a huge difference with that. And also this is one of those looks that just kind of gets glowier throughout the day. It's not immediately super glowy, which I appreciate, because this does mean that the makeup will stay on all day. So really quick, in with a big fluffy brush, I'm just going to press the No. 7 powder on. This just kind of helps to make sure that I got powder everywhere that I needed to get powder. Alright, so I'm gonna go toss on some bronzer, blush, and highlight, because obviously that's subjective based on the eye look and stuff that you're wearing, or however you want to do your cheeks. It doesn't really matter too much. For a glowy look, I tend to lean towards slightly more glowy bronzers. I don't like super shimmery bronzers, but ones with like a little soft sheen to them, and then obviously glowier blushes as well, and just like a little bit more highlight than normal. But I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'll be back to show you guys some like little setting spray tricks that I do, and what setting sprays and stuff that I use to make everything glowy and long lasting and everything like that. Alright, so really quick before I do anything else with my face, I have my bronzer, blush, highlight on, under eyes done. I like to do this before I do like my mascara or my eyebrows or anything like that. I'm going to take the L'Oreal Shake and Glow spray and then another clean damp sponge, and I'm going to shake this up really well. And I'm going to spray like 2 sprays on there, and then just press this into my skin. And this is going to help pick up any excess powder on the face, also just kind of melt everything together. I personally prefer doing this with a sponge just because this is an oil-based setting spray, so I don't want to disturb anything on my face and like make my eyeshadow crease or anything like that. And so obviously I can just avoid my eyes by using a sponge. And sometimes if I'm going for like a really, really glowy look, I haven't done this using Auric as well. I haven't done this in a while actually, but sometimes I will use other oil-based setting sprays as well, do the same thing with them. All right, so while that is sinking in the rest of the way, I'm going to get to the point of putting on my lashes really quick, and then I'll show you guys kind of what I do with the rest of my setting sprays. Okay, so typically what I will do next is while I'm putting on my lashes, so I'll put the glue on one of the bands, and while that's drying, I'm going to take the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist and I'm just going to cover my whole face in that. And once again, that one's really good for just kind of making everything sink in and soak in together. And then on the other side, while I'm waiting for the other lash to dry, I'm just going to go in with Urban Decay All Nighter, which is going to just help everything last all day. All right, really quick, I'm gonna jump off, toss on some lips, do something with this hair. I will come back to show you guys the final look. All right, guys, so this is the final look. As you can see, my skin is already looking pretty glowy, and it's just pretty. My skin is just pretty. It looks like skin with just a little bit of glow on it. It doesn't look heavy or cakey or anything like that, and I love doing my like base makeup like this. I just think it's so incredibly pretty. If you guys are interested in seeing this eye look or like what I put on my cheeks, that is from the Palette Throwback Thursday with the In a Trance palette. I will link that up in the eye and down below for you guys as well. So next up, I'm going to show you guys how I do my base for a super long lasting look. It's kind of more matte. It's just a little bit of just a different version of this base. So stay tuned for that. All right, so for my matte base, I'm going to start off kind of similar. I'm going to go in with the NYX spray and then my NYX Primer Oil. And then for primer, I'm going to go in with the Wet n Wild Impossible Primer. So this is a more hydrating primer, but it's still mattifying, kind of. It's not super mattifying, but I don't want to like super mattify my skin. I just find that makeup applies really, really beautifully on top of this primer. And then really quick for my under eyes, I'm going to toss on the Pixi Under Eye Corrector, and then also toss on some Maybelline Fit Me on like my little spots and stuff. And then for foundation, I'm going to again go in with the Love Your Selfie foundation. This foundation's so easy to transform to do whatever it is that you want. It can be dewy, it can be matte. It's just a really, really great foundation to work with. And then for concealer, I'm going to go in with one that's, again, a little bit more versatile. This one is just a smidge too light for me, so I'm not going to use too much, but this is the L'Oreal Full Wear Concealer. I don't need a ton because my eyes are already corrected, but I'm just going to put a dot right there and then a dot out here and just blend them together. And then once again, same thing, gonna go in with my other NYX Bear With Me spray. And for powder, I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder. So I have Fair for my under eyes and then Bare light for all over the rest of my face. And I'm just going to do the same thing I did earlier in the video. Just take a different sponge, different damp sponge, and I'm just going to use the sponge to set my face. And then I'm going to go into my number 7 Lift and Illuminate pressed powder on a big fluffy brush and just press that over my skin. Alright, I'm going to jump off and go back to the other video that I'm filming. That is the Palette Throwback Thursday with the Morphe 35S palette. That will be up soon. I want to say my next video, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Do my under eyes, toss on my cheeks. I'll be back to show you guys the last couple steps that I do with like my sprays and everything, because I do use different sprays for my matte look. So I'll be back in just a little bit. Alright, so you guys already know from earlier in the video that I like to do my setting sprays kind of as I'm finishing up the rest of my makeup. So I'm going to go in with the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist, and I'm just going to spray this all over my face, just to kind of melt everything together. So while I have one of my lashes drying, I'm going to go in with the Makeup Revolution Super Fix Super Hold Misting Spray. This does have a matte finish to it. This one's also kind of fun because it has a similar sprayer to the Morphe spray. It's like it's not continuous, but it still kind of comes out like a hairspray sort of. And then next up, I'm going to go in with the About Face Matte Fix Spray. So this one you do need to shake it really well, but this one is very mattifying. And then last but not least, I'm going to toss on a little bit of Urban Decay All Nighter, and then I'm going to jump off, finish up the rest of my face, and I'll be back to show you guys the final look. Alright guys, so this is the final look. As you can see, my skin is very matte. The About Face spray even honestly dulled down my highlight quite a bit, as you can see. I actually kind of prefer that when I'm doing these more mattified looks. I like everything to be more matte. I also didn't put highlight on my nose today. But I love the way that this look turned out. Those two sprays together, the About Face spray and then the Makeup Revolution spray, they make my makeup stay on for so long. And these two together help like drastically reduce how much makeup comes off when I wear a mask, which is really awesome. So highly recommend these. But I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope that you learned something. Comment down below and let me know which finish you prefer. Did you like the glowy finish better, or did you like the matte finish better? I would love to know. Please subscribe if you have not already. It would mean the world to me. Like this video, ring the bell, do all the things. Thank you again for sticking with me for a year. It's crazy. But I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!